Hello there. So for this month's dyeing project, I thought it would be fun to try a different technique than the usual immersion dyeing that we've been learning. So I thought it'd be fun, since it's summer, to try some solar dyeing. Now, solar dyeing is very simple. You use the heat from the sun to warm up the dye and make it stick to the yarn. This month's dye material is eucalyptus, primarily the leaves. So here we have two examples of just a few days. I would say this is 4 or 5 days worth of soaking in the sun in some eucalyptus leaves. And this is pure 100% wool. And you can see it just makes a beautiful, natural, golden color, which I love. And there's quite a bit of yarn in here. I believe there is 200 grams of yarn. And, you know, it's pretty packed in there, but it still turned out beautifully. Over here is another example. I've already removed the yarn from this one, which I will be showing you at the end. And this is more, a little darker, a little bit darker shade. You could see that's pretty clear, but that's because there was the same amount of dye material but less water. So in order to dye some yarn using the solar method, you just need some bare. You want to start out with some bare yarn, and this yarn was mordanted with some alum and water over heat, medium heat, simmered for about an hour. Sometimes I will leave it in the alum for several days after that. And so now that it's ready, these two skeins, they are ready for the dye. Now the dye will be able to stick to the wool. It's very necessary. You do this with a lot of natural dye materials, but there are a lot of natural dye materials that you don't need a mordant because they have their own tannins or chemicals in them. So it's good to do a little research first. It doesn't hurt, though, to use the mordant, so I'd rather err on the side of caution. I've used mordant many times for things that just don't require it, but it turns out fine. That's just how I like to do it. So anyway, let's get started. So I have a jar here, and you can use any jar with a lid. I have used recycled jars, and I've also used mason jars that I've purchased. It does not matter. So any jar. I'm going to use this size, but as you can see, you can use a smaller jar or a jar. I don't remember what was in this. Maybe some pickles or something like that, but it doesn't matter what jar you use. And you're going to add water. This is regular tap water. Okay. Oh, I'll add more than that, but this will give you an idea at least. And then I purchased my eucalyptus leaves, and they were already dried and cut up. I ordered them from Frontier Co-op, cut and sifted eucalyptus leaf. And I'll leave the information for that in the notes below. So what you want to do is just I added about half a cup of eucalyptus leaves to an organza bag or a cotton muslin bag. Some cheesecloth would work, and just make sure that it's sealed up. I'm going to add more than this. I think I'm going to add a full cup of the dried leaves. And again, I'm not measuring, I'm just estimating approximately. And then I'm going to tie this up just to be sure that it doesn't come out. In fact, I'll do a bow so that I can perhaps reuse this pouch later. I like to try to reuse whatever I can, if possible. I'm just going to add it in the water. Like I said, this couldn't be any easier. Even children could do this with success, but you have to have patience. Because if you're not heating it up on the stove top, you're going to need to heat it with the sun. So it's going to take a lot longer, but it's really fun to check the results every day. So anyway, you want to make sure that that pouch gets nice and wet and is in the water, and then we can add our yarn. Okay, you're going to want to wring it out really well. You definitely need it damp. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to put in 100 grams. And you just throw it in. I like to mix it all around. It really doesn't matter where the pouch sits. It could sit on the side of it, on top of it, under it. It's your choice. Now I'm going to go ahead and put probably another, I don't know, maybe an inch or so of water in there. And then you want to just put the lid on. And I've been labeling all of my jars with masking tape, so because you'd be surprised, you might forget. Because when you start out, they're all clear. So I'll label this with my eucalyptus leaves so that I know. And then in a day or two, you will start to see the color shifting. And then after about a week, you will see its full potential, but you can leave it as long as you'd like. They say up to 2 weeks is optimal, but I'm probably only going to do a week. So a few others that I've done this week, sorry, the bugs are just crazy here in New Hampshire. I went out and picked a bunch of orange wildflowers from the property and got this really pretty sunny yellow. I did not put them in a pouch, so it's your choice, but I recommend the pouch. It'll be a lot harder to wash this later, but I thought it looked pretty. And then we did coffee. So I did use the pouch for the coffee to contain all of the granules. It was ground coffee. And that's coming out to be a really pretty tan color. I also tried Brazil wood. Not a local plant, obviously, but oh, that's such a pretty, pretty pale pink. And I use the pouch for this. You can see it at the bottom. It's nice and warm from being in the sun. Bamboo leaves. When I was in Connecticut, I harvested some bamboo leaves, and they turned this yarn a really pretty yellow, too. It's really easy to get yellow from nature, much harder to get green and blue, but yellow seems to be found in a lot of plants. Now I also tried pine cone. I had never dyed with pine cone, and I thought, why not? However, I am really not seeing much color at all, if any, from the pine cone. So, may not be successful, but it's fun to try. Or perhaps I didn't have enough pine cones, or the right kind, or maybe they weren't fresh enough. There's always a reason. And then I also did not have success with mint solar dyeing. And I picked quite a bit, and I picked several varieties of mint, but I don't really see any change at all in the yarn color. But again, it's fun to try and experiment. I have a bunch of other jars that are still out in the sun doing their thing, but look how yellow we've already got. Look at the yellow we've already gotten just from these few minutes that it's been sitting here. Isn't that fun? And that's not even in the sun, right? But I will throw it in the sun in a little while and leave them all there. Now, when you're finished, you're going to want to rinse and wash your yarn, just like always. And I'm going to show you the results of 2 mini skeins that I dyed in this jar. So anybody in the highest tiers will be receiving the eucalyptus dyed yarns this month. So that should be fun. All right, I'm going to go grab that yarn. Okay, it was drying out by the barn, but it's not quite dry yet, but I still thought I'd show you how beautiful this color is. I am in love with this color so much. Oh my gosh, nature, you never disappoint. You guys have to try solar dyeing. Get your kids involved in this. I think it's a great summer homeschool science project. I am excited. I am so excited to dye up some of the big skeins and see how they turn out. I'm sure some will be lighter than others, some may be darker. You could add a little iron water to really dampen the color and make it a little moodier if you want. But solar dyeing is so much fun and so easy. And you can almost do it off-grid if you had, I guess you'd have to mordant like over a campfire. Get that done, and then you can just do it off-grid if you want. No electricity, no power needed. So much fun. I hope you have a chance to try it, and I can't wait to show you what I'll be dyeing next. I'm hoping that I can get some greens. See you later, guys. Thanks for stopping by.